Congressman August Pfluger from the great state of Texas joins us here on The Blaze. Congressman, it's a pleasure. Thank you for your patience while we were lining this up to make it work, and welcome to the show, brother. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me. Doing great. Appreciate the opportunity to talk some important issues.
Absolutely. And I think this is among the most important issues that are facing us right now, because it's going to determine a lot of what the rules on the ground are for deciding who's going to be running the country over the next couple of years, particularly in the legislative branch. And there's been a lot of discussion and a lot of debate about who to count, what to count in the censuses across the country, whether to gerrymander, whether to not. All right. You are working on that right now. You want to break some news to our audience, introducing a bill that would codify one of President Trump's executive orders, but actually from his first term in office. So can you tell us about that, Congressman?
Well, absolutely. And what you just said is so important, that who is going to be in charge, who is going to write the laws that govern this country, who is going to get us back to, quite frankly, a state of law and order, which we had abandoned during the entirety of the Biden administration. But the COUNT Act would require that a citizenship question be asked on the census, that other agencies and departments within the executive branch share the question of citizenship with the Department of Commerce, who does the census, and that we not ignore this question any longer, because we know that the numbers have been skewed. You can just take California and New York, at least 3 additional representatives, congressional representatives in those 2 states alone, because of overcounting. And it's really, just think about it like this. This is a question. Now, if you take away the citizenship piece, let's just go for who is in this country lawfully, because it is entirely plausible that there's a tourist that happens to be here while a census is going on. And in the case of Joe Biden, he invited millions of quote-unquote tourists into this country who would be counted in blue states like New York, like California, that would result in additional congressional seats. And those would be taken away from the states that are following the law, that are doing their best to not have sanctuary cities, that are actually enforcing the laws that are on the books. And that's really the crux of it, is that it hurts the overall representation and the idea that our founders had, which is that the states should follow the laws. And the Supreme Court, for those who say, well, the Constitution says that you have to be no, the Supreme Court in 2019 decided that it is 100% legal to ask the question of citizenships, and the states should be enforcing this. They should be enforcing the laws, and we want to have a federal level law. That's why the COUNT Act is so important and why I'm introducing it today.
What would be the benign, innocent explanation, Congressman, for why any state would not want to know that information or reveal it?
Well, it's not so benign, and it's very obvious. It's because they want additional congressional seats. They want additional funding. They want more money from the government. And the more people that they count in the census, the higher their numbers are, the more representation they get, the more dollars they get. I mean, it's just this snowball that we can see has played out in Joe Biden's complete inadequate approach to securing our border. But you know, you think, well, they just turned a blind eye. No, this was on purpose, and it resulted in additional seats. And the effect is it's not just a 1 or 2 term effect. This is a 10-year effect. We did this in 2020. They used emergency powers in COVID to go around, in many states, to go around the right way to count and the right way to do things. And that wasn't all. It was also the ability to count people who are not lawfully here, that are quote unquote tourists, and not in a position to be here under a green card or a visa or anything like that. They're here illegally.
What you're describing basically is that your political rivals will just essentially do anything by hook or by crook to win. That's essentially what you're describing.
Why wouldn't you, if you're a blue state, try to get more congressional representation and try to up the numbers and make the case that, no, we deserve to have more because we have all these people? I mean, they offer health care in places like California and New York to illegal aliens and not citizens. You know, I mean, we're talking illegal aliens who are getting those benefits that are taking the place of citizens. And in addition, they can count them on the census. And we are just simply saying, let's just get back to common sense. Let's be able to ask the question. The Supreme Court has upheld this in a decision in 2019. And they have said that Congress has the power to write it into law to ask a citizenship question. And I am saying it's time that we do that. There's nothing wrong with asking that question. And by the way, for those who say, well, Republicans don't believe in immigration, no, we absolutely do. But we believe in a way of doing it that is lawful, that is order, that doesn't have the chaos and the last 4 years of complete a chaotic approach that has hurt many, many states. So I think it's pretty common sense that what we're doing restores the law and order that this country desperately needs.
How quickly, I assume you've spoken with Speaker Johnson about this, how quickly could this get advanced through the process?
Well, I mean, it's codifying one of the executive orders that President Trump has. What we want to do in a lot of the cases is try to get that on the floor as quickly as possible. So when we get back to Washington, D.C. next week, we'll be making the case that this needs to be front and center. Obviously, it's very important as we approach the midterms. And, I think the Speaker and the President, obviously, with his executive order, are going to be fully behind legislation like this that restores the ability for us to say, hey, it's okay to want to be an immigrant into this country, but you're not going to be counted in the census. It's okay to be a tourist in this country, but we're not going to take the chance that you could be counted in a census. Mm-hmm. We're going to restore law and order.
Final question, Congressman. You guys are well aware. I mean, we talk about it on our show constantly. This is going to, the minute the president signs this, this is going to end up in the realm of lawfare in the federal courts. So is there a way, or have you guys thought through ahead of time how to write this for ultimately the final jury of this piece of legislation will be the Supreme Court? I assume you guys are thinking ahead to how to craft this legislation with that in mind.
Well, absolutely. And that's why looking at precedents that the Supreme Court has already decided on and has already looked at is so important. And I keep referring to the 2019 case where they said it is okay to ask the question of citizenship on this particular matter. So, yes, we are crafting it in that way. There's still more work to do. Conversations with the Senate and making sure that we can continue to push this forward are important. But I think that there's an appetite for things like this, especially as you look at the possibility of what a midterm and with many of the states doing, redistricting right now, it becomes even more important. But I can't overstress it enough. The last census was 2020. The next one is 2030. And I think another conversation about, well, how valid were those 2020 results if they were counting millions, literally millions, and putting representatives into states that didn't count correctly, that counted people who were not lawfully here. I think that question still remains to be answered. This is a good first step for us, though.
Agreed. Congressman August Pfluger, he is the chairman of the Republican Study Committee there in the House as well. Thank you for coming on The Blaze here and breaking this news for us. And we will make sure to do what we can to continue to follow it and elevate it and hopefully get it on the president's desk, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me and for expressing an interest in the Count Act. God bless.
You bet. God bless.